Like, I'm so busy all the time. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Figure it out. You make the rules. Today, what I want to talk to you about is the belief systems and the identity that's really going to help you make this your best year yet. I am going to create the best year of my fucking life, and people are going to be eating popcorn while they watch this. If social media didn't exist and I literally couldn't show anyone else what I was doing in my life, what things would I still want to be doing? I know that there's a lot of you that want to do big shit this year. But what that means is that the best thing for you to do this year is to literally What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast and a happy new year. We are officially getting into the swing of things in 2025. I hope that you've had a great start to your new year so far. Now that we're into the first week or so of the year, it's time to go back to our routines, to work, to real life after the holidays. So I wanted to bring you an episode where you could really sink your teeth in and get some of your no BS bestie advice for how to make this really the best year yet. I don't know about you, but the holidays for me are so busy. It's always the race to the finish line at the end of the year. There's so much going on. And then you want to be present. You want to be with your family. Maybe you have travel. You have so much gift giving, wrapping, hosting, presents, out to dinners, all of these things that it's hard to really be set up and prepared for the new year by the end of the year. So if you're anything like me, I like to take the first couple of weeks of January to really set myself up for success. And that's when I start really thinking about who I want to be in this next year, what I need to do to get myself ready. So if you haven't done any of those things yet, don't worry, you're not alone and you're also not too late. Make sure you check out last week's episode with all of my favorite guided practices to help you feel really anchored in, set up for this next year, things that you can do with your partner, things that you can do for your business, how to set up your manifestations, create a personal guided visualization for yourself using ChatGPT. There's so many good hacks and things inside of that episode. So if you haven't listened yet, go back and make sure you listen to that because you're going to feel so much more ready and solid going into this new year once you do that. But today, what I want to talk to you about is really building out the mindset, the habits, the belief systems, and the identity that's really going to help you truly make this your best year yet. So what we're going to go through is a mini guide for you to get hotter, richer, healthier, and happier in 2025. I hope that you enjoy this episode. Let's dive in. So when it comes to making this year the best year yet, the first thing that you have to do is get out of the energy of waiting for it to be the right time, waiting to be discovered, waiting for people to finally care about what you're doing or what you're creating, waiting for your content to pop off, waiting to have more money, waiting to meet your person, waiting to be invited to the table. Invite your damn self. Right? That is the energy that we need to be going into this next year with. If there is something that you want for your life, don't forget that you are the motherfucking author. I think we sometimes forget that, right? And that's normal, but it's like half the time we're wandering around aimlessly like some damsel in distress waiting for a person or an opportunity or a paycheck to really save us when the entire world is actually waiting for you to save yourself. You have to become the one. You have to decide that you are the one who figures it out, the one who makes it happen, the one who takes a fucking risk, the one who believes in her ideas and her talent and her worth, the one who puts herself in rooms of opportunity instead of waiting for an opportunity to fall into her lap, the one who falls on her face and gets back up over and over and over again. You are the one, babe. And the world is just waiting for you to wake the hell up and become her. So this is your year to take back your power, to take back control, really grab the reins of your life and decide who you're going to be and what you get to experience and have and create in this one life that you were given. And none of that is going to be possible if we're sitting in the energy of waiting, of feeling like, oh, I'm not ready yet, or maybe when this happens, or maybe when I get more money, or maybe when I have more clarity, or maybe when I have more of the answers. None of that is coming. No one is coming to save you. Nothing is coming to fall in your lap. You are the one that gets to ignite that fire inside of your own heart and decide that you're going to become unstoppable. Decide that you're going to figure it the fuck out. Decide that you're going to take the action steps, to do it scared, to spend the money, to say yes, to commit to the trip, to be the person that you really want to be. And the truth is, you won't feel this motivated and this hungry all year long. This is temporary. The energy and the excitement that we are in the first couple weeks of January, that shit will go away. But what you can do is you can always come back to this and remember that everything that I want starts with me. You've got to be willing to say fuck it to your fears and just go do it anyways. Get out of the energy of waiting, do the things that you want to do, because when you allow yourself to be controlled by the narrative that you don't know enough yet, or you're not clear enough yet, or you don't have enough money yet, or no one cares enough yet, or you're not big enough or important enough yet, when you allow that to be the story of your life, what you're doing is you're living in victim consciousness. And I think a lot of us know what it feels like to have a victim mentality, or what it's like to experience someone in your life that really lives with a victim mentality. And we don't often, I just think it's harder for ourselves sometimes to recognize the ways that we're still putting ourselves in the place of the victim in our own lives, because it can be a little bit more insidious. It can be a little bit more covert. It can be a little bit more behind the scenes. But if you're thinking that when you get more followers, something is going to change, or when someone discovers your podcast, you're going to pop off, or like thinking this way, that something just has to happen outside of yourself in order for you to finally get the things that you deserve, the success, the money, the happiness, whatever, or the man just has to stumble across you and realize how great you are, right? We're putting all of the power into people out there in the world that we don't even know. And we're taking it all away from ourselves and saying, oh, once they finally see me, once they realize how good I am, once they experience my talent, once they find my work, once they listen to my podcast, once they go on a date with me, once they whatever, then I'll be able to become my full self. No, when you allow those narratives and that fear and that doubt and that uncertainty to control your life, and just waiting for something to happen that will somehow suddenly shift things, what you're really doing is giving yourself the permission to stay where you are. By believing that something outside of yourself has to happen, something else has to occur, something external has to take place. Maybe you need to read the right book, or you need to find the right avenue for your business, or you need to get into the right niche, or you need to nail your content, or you need to hear the perfect thing in a podcast that's just going to click for you. You need to receive a sign from God or the universe. You need to reach this kind of moment where you finally know that, okay, yes, like this is it. I finally discovered it. Yay, everything is so clear now, and now I can move forward. When you tell yourself that story, what you're really doing is coming up with a really convenient excuse for you to just get to stay where you are and keep doing the same things that you're doing. Because deep down, we do have a fear of change. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to spend money. We don't want to step outside of our comfort zone. We don't want to insert ourselves into the rooms or invite ourselves to the party. We don't want to go on the date. We don't want to do those things because there's a part of us that always wants to keep us safe. So you have to recognize those pieces of yourself where you're still thinking, assuming, hoping that some external thing will happen in your life that will then allow you to be discovered or to be fully realized or to step into your power or to know the right thing to do next or to have the perfect action step or to find your person or to know what you're supposed to do with your life or discover your purpose. You're putting all of the power on these external forces, and it's because you want to stay where you are. There's a part of you that likes it. There's a part of you that's cozy because you don't have to change, right? If you don't know the answer, if we can keep telling ourselves that I just don't know yet, it's not fully landing for me yet, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do or who I'm supposed to hire or where I'm supposed to go or what the next job is or what the niche is or whatever, what direction I'm supposed to go with my content, all these stories that we tell ourselves. When we tell ourselves that, it means that you don't have to get uncomfortable, that you don't have to actually fucking change something, that you don't have to show up in a new way, that you don't have to do any hard work, you don't have to do anything fucking scary. And that's really, really convenient for your ego. So by you believing that there is something out there that will somehow give you the motivation or the inspiration or the courage or the strength or the clarity that you need in order to do the thing that you've been wanting to do, you get to stay stuck. In the meantime, you get to stand completely still and keep entertaining the same patterns, behaviors, cycles, results that you're currently getting in your life. And I think something really powerful to recognize is that yes, we all love a safety net. We all love having something to fall back on. But once you give yourself a plan B or an option to kind of fall back on in case this doesn't work out or in case it's not fully the right thing, then I'll just go and do this. Then you also still don't actually have to try that hard. You don't actually have to go all in on the big move that you're trying to make, and you still find a way to tiptoe your way to growth and then get to the end of the year and be upset that you didn't skyrocket or that you didn't have a quantum leap. And it's like, sometimes we just have to have that radical honesty with ourselves of like, okay, but was I actually moving in a way that would elicit a quantum leap in my life? Or was I kind of tiptoeing my way around and trying to be super safe? And maybe I was investing in myself, but it was all very like, things that were comfortable for me and it was cozy and it was kind of easy. Like, were you actually moving in a way that would elicit a quantum leap? Or were you still moving in a way that made you feel like, okay, this is safe and cozy and just in case this doesn't work out, like it's all okay? And this doesn't have to be your energy every single year. Maybe you don't want to make big moves this year. Maybe you're not trying to create massive results in your life or in your business or in anything. And that's also totally fine too. But because I know who the demographic of this audience is, I know that there's a lot of you that want to do big shit this year, that you want things to pop off, that you want to become happier, hotter, richer, more successful. You want that for yourselves, and that is okay. But what that means is that the best thing for you to do this year is to literally fuck your fear, say, this is my only option. This is who I'm deciding to be. I'm going forward. I'm doing it. I'm no longer going to sit in this energy of waiting, expecting something else to happen or something to occur or someone to notice me or whatever. It's me, bitch. I'm choosing me. I'm the one. I'm becoming the one. I'm the author of my story. I am going to create the best year of my fucking life, and people are going to be eating popcorn while they watch this. Which leads us right into the second thing that you need to do if you want this to be the best year of your life is you have to set a new standard for yourself. And it's time to really start embodying the next level identity of who you are becoming, right? Something to really think about, which I feel like we've probably all heard this and it's somewhat obvious, but sometimes when you just get this reflected back to you, it's like an aha moment where you're like, oh, right, like that makes so much sense. So think about it this way. The life that you currently have, the business that you currently have, the results that you currently have, the fulfillment that you currently have, the money that you currently have, the joy and the fun and the friends and everything that you currently have, that is all a reflection of who you currently are. They're a match for each other. So if you want anything to be different, better, bigger, or more, the first domino that has to fall is you, meaning the first thing that needs to change is inside of you. The mountain is you. The call is not coming from outside of the house. It's not some external thing that has to happen or change, or again, like we were talking before about being in the energy of waiting for something outside of yourself to like happen or be right or to be discovered and then it will pop off. No, the call is coming from inside of the house, which means that the alarm that has to go off in order for everything to shift starts inside of you. You have to decide who you are going to be this year, not just in your mind, but also with your actions, and actually start to embody that identity. And because who we are at our core is such a subconscious thing, if we're not really, really intentional about making a conscious, clear decision to shift our identity and become a new version of ourselves, we have absolutely no chance at achieving a different, better, bigger, more fun, more beautiful, more fulfilled, more relaxed, more peaceful, more easy version of our lives, because we are the first thing that has to change. If you want to change anything in your life, probably the first thing that has to change is your thoughts, because your thoughts are what dictate your beliefs, and your beliefs are what control how you feel most often, and how you feel most often is your mood, which dictates your day and how you spend your time and your outlook on life, and that informs your personality and how you operate most often. And your personality informs the results that you get in your life, which then repeats the cycle of the story that you're going to tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of and what outcomes you're destined for. So if you want to change anything in your life, if you want anything in your life to look different right now, your environment, your friends, how you spend your time, the results in your business, your relationship, if you want any of it to be different, better, or more this next year, the first domino is you. So you have to decide who you are going to be really clearly, really consciously, and then you must start to embody it. Not just by thinking, oh, I'm going to be this more like healthier, whatever version of me. No, but you actually have to take an action step that is a clear signal to yourself and to the universe. Hey, bitch, it's a new me, right? We have to start showing up this way. So write it down. Write down who it is that you're deciding to be, what this identity shift is going to be for you, and then tell people that you know. And then start taking action from that place, right? This is the year where we get to be so audacious that it's cringy to people. Because as long as you are hiding your goals on a cute little vision board, like on the back of your closet, just like sitting there kind of in the dark, in silence by yourself going, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to create for my life. That means that there's still a part of you that feels like it's too big or it's too risky to actually believe that it could be possible for you. It feels kind of embarrassing to tell people because it's like, do I actually see myself that way? Oh my God. But it's like, yeah, you fucking do. You fucking better. If you want that to be your life, you have to see yourself that way. So write it down, own it, tell people that you know, and be so fucking audacious with it that it starts to become cringy. Towards the end of last year, I had one of my friends and my past clients from Top Tier on the podcast, and she said something. She had a post, and we brought it up in the conversation about how she shared that being cringe is what made her 7 figures. And I couldn't agree more, because I think, look, here's the thing about like being cringy, right? Something is only cringy until it actually matches the person and it's actually real, right? If you were to see Kim Kardashian out on the street taking selfies and posing for photos, or wearing some like crazy, ridiculous outfit where she's like half naked and has these wild heels on, or whatever it is that she's doing, it wouldn't be cringy because it so matches her identity. It matches the results that she's created in her life and the personality and the persona that she's built. And now who we see her to be is like, oh, that's like Kim, right? She has a whole book. She made a whole book and published it at one point of all just like selfies of herself. Like, we would not be shocked to see her taking selfies on the street. But if you go out and you wear a crazy, like fun, wild outfit and you're taking selfies in public, you might be like, this is so fucking cringy because it doesn't match yet. But how are you going to get there if you never start acting that way? Right? Someday you might be the person where people are like, oh, yep, that's her, makes sense, right? Because it's your identity, because they've now become accustomed to like, that's what she does. It's part of her work. It's part of her brand. It's gotten her amazing results. And you know what? Good for her, because she makes a shitload of money and she has a lot of impact in the world and she's helped a lot of people, and like, good on her. Like, keep taking those selfies, girl. That we never get to that point if we're just like waiting for that to happen, waiting for the results to happen before we start embodying the way that we would act to get there. So you get this sort of like silly example that I'm giving about Kim K and taking selfies and wearing whatever you want to wear and being kind of audacious in public, but you can take this and flow it into any area of your life. It's like, what are the things that you think you're going to be doing once people care enough, or once you have a big enough brand, or once you have enough money, or once you have the lifestyle that you want for your family or for your kids? Like, what are the things that you would like to be doing, but you feel cringe because they don't fully match the reality yet? Those are the things that you have to start doing now, because you're embodying the future version of who you're becoming. And then that is the thing that actually becomes the catalyst to create that result. So many of us are waiting for the end result before we can show up that way. But the hack is that you have to show up that way now, and that is what helps you create that result. And I am such a strong believer that there is nothing more powerful in this world than a really firm anchored decision that you make for yourself. Think about someone who's tried to get fit so many times or tried to lose weight, and they've tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. And then one time, for whatever reason, they made such a strong, firm, anchored decision with themselves that they would become healthy, that they would get fit, and then they did it. Or think about the people that have struggled with addiction and they try to go sober or get clean and they fall off and they fall off and they fall off and they fall off. But sometimes there's a moment where it's like they just make a decision that is so clear, so anchored that from that moment forward, their life will never be the same and they never go back and they get clean and they stay clean and they completely change their entire lives. We've seen this in humanity. We know that it's possible to make these kinds of clear line in the sand decisions. And that's the opportunity that we're faced with every day of our lives, but also in this season when it's the start of the new year, it's like we have a little bit more magic on our side. We have a little bit more momentum behind us. We have a little bit more wind in our sails already. So allow this time of year to be the inspiration and the motivation that you get for fucking free. By the way, I hope you feel naturally inspired and motivated at the start of the year. That shit is free. To say thank you to the stars, right? Say thank you to Capricorn season, whatever it is. It's like there's something in the air that just makes us want to go, that makes us want to change, that makes us want to be new. And I think that's one of the most magical parts of the new year. If you're not capitalizing on that, if you're not taking advantage of that, then honestly, like shame on you, because we don't get that every month of the year. We don't get that every single day that we wake up. So now is the time. It's such a powerful time. It's such a great excuse to say, this is going to be the moment where I make my line in the sand decision and I anchor it so firmly deep in my soul that truly there's a before and there's an after, and I'm never going back, and I will be different after this day. And when I think about the power of these like really strong decisions, it always makes me think about the time when I was 24 years old. I was living in Spain at the time. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was teaching English in the schools, making shit money, barely making ends meet at the end of the month. I had a couple of odd jobs. I probably had like 3 jobs at the time, but I still didn't have any money to show for it because one of them was a free internship. I was also taking buses and trains around the city to teach English classes privately to kids and make like $20 an hour. And I was scraping together all of this money just to basically make ends meet at the end of the month. And I really had no vision of like having a business or becoming an entrepreneur or really like doing any of the things that I'm doing now. I did not know at all what was possible for me, but I believed that I was capable of something more. And I was reading the book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And there's an exercise in that book where he makes you decide at what age you'll make your first $1 million. And I remember sitting with this exercise and really feeling that grueling sense of like overthinking and indecision and like, oh my God, look, I don't know the answer. Like, how am I going to decide at what age I make $1 million by? It felt like I really had to like commit myself to it. And I know sometimes we overthink these exercises, but I'm actually glad that I felt in my body that I needed to really consider what I was going to write on the page, because I think that was the part of me that knew whatever I put here is going to actually mean something. Whatever I write down is actually going to influence the way that I show up over the next couple of years, and it will change my reality in some way. I had no idea what that was going to look like, but the first intuitive feeling that I had was like, I'd love to write down 30. I'm a millionaire by 30. Like, oof, that sounds so good. That sounds so sexy. But then I second guessed myself because I was like, am I just choosing 30 because it's like the most obvious next milestone birthday, right? I'm 24. I don't know. Like, am I just choosing that because it sounds sexy? I don't know. And then I was counting on my fingers. I've never been that great at math. Like, okay, how many years do I have left? Oh my gosh, it's only 6 years. Like, and then the spiral of the overthinking of like, is that even possible? Like, I'm literally making no money, living in a foreign country, have no idea what I want to do with my life, have not even worked a day in my life in corporate America. Like, how is this even going to be possible? There was a million reasons to believe that I should have written down like 50 or 70, like who knows? But because I had that intuitive feeling of like 30, I bargained with myself slightly and I said, all right, I'm going to put 31 and I'm going to give myself 7 years to make $1 million. Let's fucking go. And I wrote it down in my notebook. I'm a millionaire by 31. And so as you do, you close the notebook and you move on with your life. I barely thought about that book. I barely thought about that exercise, but there was something in that moment that anchored something so deep inside of me of like, I know that this is coming now. I know that this is happening now, which means I have to be different in some way, which means I have to be more open to opportunities, which means I need to move through the world with my eyes wide open about what is possible for me. And because of that, over the next couple of years, all the things naturally transpired that allowed me to really discover my purpose, to find my natural talents and gifts, to start an online business, to grow a podcast, to work with incredible clients, start changing hundreds of thousands of women's lives through my work. And I woke up one day and I was sitting at the airport waiting to board a flight to Denver. And I was like, I think it might be the moment where we've crossed $1 million. I had just had a pretty big launch in my business and I knew that we had been getting close at that time. So I decided to pull up my laptop and crunch some numbers and see where we were at. And sure enough, I saw it right there on the screen. I'm a millionaire. And that was about 90 days before my 30th birthday. So I made my first $1 million by the time that I was 29. If I had listened to my intuition and written down, I'm a millionaire by 30, there wouldn't have ever been a truer statement that I could have written down on that page, because damn, I would have beaten that goal just by about 90 days. And so I know that there's such power in making these types of decisions for yourself, of really deciding who you are going to be, what is available for you, what is the potential for your life. Write it down, tell someone, and start to embody that next version of yourself now. And I think an important part of this piece of like adopting that new identity is also looking at what you have to let go of, right? It's not about just like adding a bunch of stuff so that you can become this new person. A lot of it, I would say even the majority of it, is what you have to let go of. So you really have to start to think about what parts of your life, patterns, behaviors, environment, relationships don't actually match with the future version of your life that you're desiring. And when you find the things that don't really match the future of who you're becoming, you have to start cutting them out ruthlessly. Because we've all heard the statement before, your new life is going to cost you your old one, and it couldn't be truer. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose everybody and never be the same and become unrecognizable and no pieces of your personality are going to get to come with you. But there are going to be a lot of things that you have to set down, a lot of people that can no longer take up this much time or this much energy from your life, a lot of patterns or behaviors that you can no longer engage in, a lot of things about your environment or your workspace or like the literal place that you work or the literal place where you live that no longer get to stay because they're not a match, because they're holding you back. They're clipping your wings. And when you think about this, I also want you to become really, really curious about what part of this idea of having to let go of certain things, places, people in your life, because you know on some level they're keeping you small. On some level they're holding you back from the potential, the possibility, the growth that you know is that you're capable of. When you think about what you might have to let go of, I want you to get really curious about what part of you wants to hold on harder. What about that makes you go, oh no, but I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know, right? And that is going to tell you a lot, because that is going to be your biggest battle, because there is a version of you that doesn't want to let go. There's a version of you that doesn't want to cut off some of the people that maybe need to be cut off from your life, or their access just needs to be reduced, or there needs to be more boundaries. There's a part of you that doesn't want to have to do that work, that doesn't want to have those conversations, that doesn't want to not have and maintain the relationships with people that you know in some ways are keeping you small. There is a part of you that does not want to let go. And that is the part of you that is going to sabotage every single attempt for growth in your life. So figure out what part of you that is and why they are unwilling to let go, what feels scary about that, and why you actually might want to stay exactly where you are with the life that you have, in the lifestyle that you're currently entertaining, with the people that you're currently allowing in your life. Why do you want actually to just continue to have everything that you already do? And there's a difference between being truly happy with a lot of the elements of your life and saying, yes, I want this to stay, and what we're talking about here, which is like knowing that something low-key doesn't serve you, but not really wanting to get rid of it because the idea of having to let go or have a conversation or move on or change cities or change jobs is like, it just feels so hard. I don't want to deal with it. That's what we're talking about. So for me, some of the things that I realized that I didn't really want to let go of, and I kind of just wanted to white knuckle and hang on to, but that I also knew were sort of like limiting me and keeping me smaller, was one thing was like my obsession and love for a truly low overhead business. I'm a slut for a low overhead business. I love it. I love high profit margins. I'm obsessed with it. And I think you can still have really amazing high profit margins, but I knew that I had to let go of this idea of like, I'm going to have the lowest overhead ever in order for me to actually get to the future version of my life, which is a place where I delegate way more, where I'm way more supported, where I have more free time, where there's more white space in my calendar, where I'm not a slave to my business. Like I wasn't going to be able to create that full, complete version of what I wanted if I was still hanging on tight to this obsession with like having a super, super, super duper low overhead business. So I knew I'm going to have to invest like 5 to 10 times more than what I'm used to. And I had to start doing that. I had to start hiring more team members. I had to start delegating to a production team for the podcast. I had to start upgrading some of our softwares and paying more. I had to hire more mentors and get into more coaching spaces. I had to really prioritize investing in myself when it comes to trips, retreats, experiences, because all of those things actually develop me as a human, as a storyteller, as a leader. And I needed to recognize that those were really important things for me to spend money on. I also needed to let go of this idea that like someday I was going to be able to give myself the luxury things that I wanted and actually bring that vision a little bit closer, pull it a little bit closer in the timeline and go, no, like I've worked so hard. There are some ways that I can give myself those luxury experiences and things right now. I don't need to keep postponing that for later. Back to our first point about like getting out of the energy of waiting. Specifically, I'm really excited about getting a new car this year. And up until this point, because I love low overhead, I love high profit, I love being really smart and responsible with my money, and I'm not afraid to spend on things. Like, trust me, I love spending money. But I felt like getting a new car, especially the car that I really wanted, was like a little too much. It was a little too bougie. It was a little too over the top. It was like, that's for somebody else. That's for like a, 3 or 4 or 5 versions of me down the road in the future. And I had to let go of this idea that like it was irresponsible to give myself those things now. And instead, I get to choose my joy and my happiness, and I get to choose some of those luxury experiences and give myself that gift now. Because the reality is, I can afford it and I do deserve it. And may some people look at that and say, you could be more conservative, you could be more responsible, you could, if it was like Alex Hormozy, he'd be like, don't buy that. He'd be like, be a slave for the next 10 years and then you'll have more money than everybody else. And it's like all the delayed gratification, but like, what if I die tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? Like, I also have to choose to live in the now and adopt the identity of this person that I keep saying that I'm going to become. Why don't I just be her? Why don't I just be her now? Why don't I just get the fucking car, right? Like, what is this fear of like, oh, it's so irresponsible to have like my, dream car? Is it? Is it? Or is the dream car going to be the same thing that it was for me when I bought my dream house, which was like a total upgrade to my life and my energy, because environment is everything. And I really, really believe that by investing in this home on the beach and having these floor to ceiling windows and waking up every day and seeing the sunrise over the ocean and being able to walk across the street to the beach and put my toes in the sand, like, fuck, I'm happier. I'm more creative. I'm a better person. And I'm sorry if that offends some people, but like, it's just true. And it doesn't mean that you have to be rich or you have to have all the money in the world to do this for yourself, but it means that you have to let go of the parts of your identity that are telling you that you don't deserve it. You have to let go of the parts of yourself that are saying, wait, later. Fuck that. If you actually want to create that future vision of your life that you keep dreaming about, what are the pieces of it that you can pull and that are accessible to you now? It might not all be available, but some of it is. Some of it is. And you're just not allowing yourself to actually step into it because it's scary, because it's going to cost you money, or because it's going to cost you, ooh, like what are people going to think, or my reputation, or this is scary, or this is a new move for me. Those are the things that you have to pick out of that future vision and bring them closer to you and go, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to embody that now. I'm going to be that version of myself now. Another thing I had to decide to let go of that I was like, wait, no, I want to hang on. I want to white knuckle and hang on to this and not let it go, but I know that it doesn't match the future version of my life, is this identity that I had for myself, which was like, I'm so busy all the time. I never have time. Gotta go. Like it's gotta go. Like at some point we get so sick of ourselves. I was like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Figure it out. You make the rules. Like, are you joking? This is embarrassing at this point. You being like, I'm so busy all the time. No one cares. You make the rules of your life. You are the author. You run your own freaking business. Like, if you don't want to be busy all the time, figure it the fuck out. Hire someone, change your systems, figure out your product suite. Like there are ways to create the future version of your life, but you're gonna have to let go of these past pieces of yourself that you're clinging on to and not wanting to let go of because they mean something to you and because they allow you to stay exactly where you are in your cozy little zone, not having to change, not having to try anything new. And by the way, if you want to change something in your business, a lot of times there's a season where we pull back before we shoot forward. And because we're so addicted to like growth and progress and more and money and all these things, we don't want the pullback season. We don't want to have the season where we actually work on our businesses a lot and restructure and change things. And maybe we're not able to take on as many clients while we're doing that because of the workload of really shifting and changing some things in the business, but setting up a model that's going to make us more free in the future. Wow, that would be an amazing thing to do. But why don't we want to do it? Oh, it's because we wouldn't be able to take on as much work and we therefore wouldn't make as much money. So we wouldn't feel as validated and we wouldn't feel as good about ourselves. It's these things, where it's like, what is the true future version of your life or your business that you're trying to create? And what would you have to do in order to get there? Who would you have to be? What would you have to let go of? What would you have to stop doing in your life or in your business? And what are the consequences of that? And why do you not want to face those consequences? And where are you white knuckling and trying to hold on to that? Because that's going to be your answer for how this is all going to get self-sabotaged or how it's all going to get solved and start moving forward this year if we can actually face that and start to make those changes and let go. So when it comes to this idea of setting new standards for yourself, you really want to take a look at your life and ask, like, what would the healthiest, hottest, richest, most self-loving version of me do? And if you are ready for a mind, body, soul glow up, you can look at each area of your life and ask yourself how the next most evolved version of you would approach it. How would the next most evolved version of you approach your health, or approach your spirituality, or approach your mental well-being, or approach your business, right? And I think sometimes, we think of this in very basic ways, but if we're to get really honest with ourselves, like, if I think about the less evolved version of me, what she would do at this time of year, for example, a less evolved version of me would try to fix everything in one go. And she would probably make like a crazy, unrealistic list of 15 new habits that I wanted to implement every week for this year. And while making the list, I would feel incredible. I would feel so good. I'd be like, yes, I'm going to drink this lemon water. I'm going to do this X times a week. And I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And I'd list it all off and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like my new life is going to be so amazing. And then I would fall flat on my face and not succeed because that's a recipe for failure. That is what a less evolved version of me would do. So I have to be a little bit more strategic in thinking about truly the next most evolved version of me wouldn't just say that she's gonna walk 10,000 steps a day and drink the lemon water and work out 5 days a week and go to Pilates and have 2 friend dates every single week and a date night with her boyfriend and do whatever. It's like, you might think that that's like the most evolved version of you, that that's like the future version of you, but it's not, because the most evolved version of you also involves being mature. And it involves knowing what is actually going to set you up for success and what works and what doesn't. The most evolved version of you has been around the block. You know what I mean? That bitch has seen some things. So she knows that that shit doesn't work anymore. So that's not actually how your future self or your most evolved version of you would show up. It would probably be a little bit more dialed in. It would probably be a little bit more strategic and a little bit more minimalistic and specific, which is why my suggestion that I'm going to make to you guys is that you use your core 4. This is a really great way to determine what are the 4 core areas of my life that I'm focusing on revamping and improving this year, and how can I set realistic goals and intentions to get there. And if you're like, what are the core 4? Go back, listen to the episode that we published last week on the 1st of Jan. I walk you through the whole exercise and how to do it for yourself. It's gold. This is going to help you actually show up in a more dialed in way rather than doing this approach of like making the list of a million things, being inspired by this podcast and being like, I'm going to change every single area of my life, and then realizing like that never fucking works. Okay, the next step for making this next year your best year yet is to, are you ready for it? Stay in your own goddamn lane. Stay in your lane, ladies. If you want to be hotter and happier this year, here's an unconventional piece of advice. Stop fucking paying attention to what everyone else is doing. Now, if you want to be constantly plagued by comparison, imposter syndrome, overthinking, second guessing your purpose, your talent, your direction, your abilities, then by all means, continue to really look at all the successful people on the internet or in your niche and make it mean that you must be doing something wrong. Continue to tell yourself that they have it all figured out, and if only I knew their secrets, then I could create my content like them, or I could have a bank account like them, or I could be really happy and my family would look perfect and not have any problems like them, and my relationship would be amazing and blissful, and I would be doing this long ass morning routine with my lover who's also a wellness influencer, and like all of my problems would disappear. Like the level of delusion that sometimes we have in our minds when we are watching what's happening on social media, on the internet, is actually sickening. And like we all know it's a highlight reel, but it's a highlight reel. But like, are you realizing, I had like several of my friends send me this same reel from an influencer doing her morning routine with her boyfriend, who's also, by the way, a wellness influencer. And so, of course, they were doing all the things, like a million different wellness things. It was probably like a 2-hour morning routine. They were filming it all. They were looking so cute while doing it. The little kisses here and there, like ha ha ha, he he he, laughing with each other, working out together, doing all these things. And I had several friends send me the same fucking reel saying, oh my God, goals, I want this. It's like, pop off, queen. You get to have everything that you want. And also, don't forget, these are 2 fucking influencers. This is a paid ad. They're getting paid to do this. This is not what their actual morning looks like together. Have we forgotten? Have we fucking forgotten? Like whenever you're looking at someone on the internet who has a relationship that you want, a life that you want, a family that you want, a business that you want, a car, a travel, whatever it is that you want, please, like you have to remember that if your life looked like theirs, it would also come with a whole set of unknown big question marks and potential like problems and issues and challenges and traumas and all these things. We don't have the full story, and you only do yourself a disservice by continuously getting pulled into the rat race of what everyone else is doing and thinking that they're doing it better than you because you see that one part that looks so shiny, that looks so beautiful, that looks so curated, that looks so epic. And we know that it's bullshit, but I just needed to bring this reminder forward because this is truly a superpower in life and in business. If you can stay in your own goddamn lane, you will be hotter, you will glow better, you will be happier, and you will probably make a lot more money because you'll be more creative. You won't be second guessing yourself all the time. You won't be going, oh, their product suite is like that, so mine should be like that, or they're doing like this, or now this is the new trend with the content. And you won't be all over the place. You will just be in your knowing, in your zone, in your genius. Your channel will be open. You'll actually receive unique creative ideas from source because you'll be connected, and things will be easier. They'll be better. You'll be happier. And this is a skill. Like it's not just something that we can say and then it happens. Like you do have to work at it because we're on our phones a lot. We're online. If you run an online business, you're obviously want to be tapped in. You're seeing what people are doing, whether it's your coaches, your clients, your peers, whoever. And it's like you have to be able to see that stuff and always continuously bring yourself back to center. Bring yourself back to the truth of who you are and what you want and how you want to lead your life and what you know that it is that you're working on, because we can't work on every single area of our life or business all at once. So if you know that you're really working on something, then work on it. Be focused on it. Don't let everyone else and what they're doing on the internet pull you away and go, oh, I need to be doing that and that and that and that and that and that. Stay fucking focused. Stay in your lane. Because you know how many people look like they have it all, yet they're kind of low-key miserable, or their mental health is struggling, or they have like these horrible toxic relationships behind the scenes, or they are complete slaves to their work and they've made their business their entire personality. A lot. I'll tell you, there's a lot of those people. I've met some of them. You probably follow some of them. It is happening everywhere. Don't be fooled. Remember that living a life that you love means truly defining success on your own terms, and then being so focused on creating that for yourself without constantly being pulled left, right, back, forth, center, over here, over there into what everyone else is doing, having, creating, focusing on, how they're building. You've got to stay in your lane. And also remember that what everybody else wants and what also looks amazing for them might not actually feel amazing for you. You might not actually want a 7 to 8 figure business. You might not actually want 500,000 followers and to have haters in your comment section with everything that you post, or have these Reddit threads made about you that are making fun of you or shitting on you. You might not actually want to have 12 employees and a massive payroll. You might not actually want to have hundreds of clients in your programs. There's a million things that you might not actually want to have. You might not actually want to have the fucking monthly HOA payment that I have to pay living in this condo building. Like, there's amazing things about living here, and there's also shit that sucks. Like, there's a lot of things that we think that we want because it looks shiny and it looks beautiful. But what I'm telling you here is just really get in tune with the life that you want to create, what's going to make you happy, and can you just be secure in that? Can you be the secure CEO of your life and of your business? Can you trust yourself? Can you trust your vision? Can you trust your process? Can you trust the phase or the era of life that you're in, and really just be in that without getting pulled off into what everyone else is doing? Can you be solid in who you are and what you're doing and just keep doing it? So if you need some help with this, you can ask yourself, if social media didn't exist, and I literally couldn't show anyone else what I was doing in my life, what things would I still want to be doing? Imagine you can't take any photos. You can't send it to your friends. You can't post it online. Like, no one can see what it is that you have or what you're doing. Would you still want those things? Would you still be doing those things? What experiences, people, or moments truly make me happy? How do I want the people in my life to remember me? What do I want them to remember me by? How do I want to show up? When they think of me, I want them to remember me doing X, Y, or Z, or being this way, or spending time on whatever. Like, how do you want people to remember you in your life? If I were on my deathbed looking back at this particular season of my life, what would I probably be wishing that I had done differently? So if you were on your deathbed and you were looking back at this exact season of life, the past couple of years, the next couple of years, what could you guess that version of you might look back and go, damn, like, I wish I had done more of this, or I wish I had done less of that. And then just asking yourself, like, am I truly happy in my day-to-day life as it is? Is happiness and joy one of the predominant kind of most baseline emotions that I feel in my life? And in what ways am I still postponing my joy and putting off giving myself what I really want until later? Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is all about making the time. We all have a graveyard of hundreds of fun things that we have wanted to do, but we didn't find the time for, and therefore we never did them. Like, we say things all the time to our friends, family, partners, like, oh my gosh, we should go take the kids to XYZ place someday, or we should do a fall road trip in the Northeast to see the leaves. That was me. We should do a girls' night where we all make funny PowerPoint presentations, or we should do this TikTok trend, or we should make this craft together, or we should go on a beach trip with the whole family, or we should get together and do dinner at my place, or we should throw one of those murder mystery parties, or we should go to that new restaurant downtown for a date night. Like, we say these things all the time, like we should, and then we don't do it. And maybe this just gets to be the year where you decide to make the time to be the person that you want to be and actually do some of those things. It doesn't mean you have to do everything. We're never going to like be able to check every single thing off of our list while still being, doing all the other roles of our life, whether it's in work or family or being a mom or whatever it is. But it's like, can we actually plan ahead and put some things on the calendar and take the initiative and be proactive to get some things already set and ready to go so that by the end of the year we can go, I actually did do a lot of those fun things that I wanted to do. This is just me personally because I'm a person that loves to travel, but I really like to go into the new year already having at least one trip like planned. We know the dates. It hopefully is already booked, but at the very least, it's like we know that this is when it's happening. I love that because I know that I'm going to want to travel. I know that I'm going to want to go on a trip. And if I don't create the space in my calendar before the year starts to take off, then life is just going to fill up. It's going to get too busy. It's going to feel hard to plan and make space and coordinate with everybody. Like, just do it now. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's with your partner or it's with a friend or it's with family members or it's with a group of people, like sometimes it really is just as simple as like, hey, like if you're down, say yes or no. If you say no, you're out. Like those types of people that are like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then they never do it. They're out of the plan. Okay. Don't be afraid to just like make the fucking plan. And if people don't commit, then they don't commit. And if you go on a solo trip, you go on a solo trip. Or if you go with 2 of your friends instead of 5 of your friends, then let it be, because not everyone is going to be on this page. You'll see not everyone in your life is on this wavelength of like, let's actually do the things that we say that we want to do. And if that's the case for you, continue to move forward. Get it on the calendar, book it, pay for your spot, say that you're going. And if they're still dicking around over there and not making a decision, then they're going to be the people that miss out. And that's just that. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. But you're going to live your life and you're going to go on the trip and you're going to have fun and you're going to do the things that you said that you wanted to do because you decided that this was going to be the year that you make the time and you become that bitch. And for my entrepreneur girlies, talking about making the time, I think it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day tasks of working in your business that you forget to prioritize working on the business. And there's probably 100 things that you want to do to optimize things in your business, upgrade your product suite, improve your marketing or messaging, or up-level your content. There's new skills that you want to learn. You want to clean up your systems. Like there's probably 1,000 things that you want to do, but you're very busy actually providing the service that you provide and working as an employee in your business that you don't get as much space to actually be the boss and to zoom out and to work on the business. So when we talk about making time, let's let this be the year where you make the fucking time, right? Whatever that's going to look like for you, get the support, figure out a way to be held accountable, cast a bigger vision, and get the support to help you bring it to life. Because if you were going to do it on your own, you would have done it already. Like, let's be honest, right? If you were going to do it on your own last year and it didn't happen, there's probably a reason. So if we're just going to be delusional and tell ourselves that this year is going to be different, it's probably not going to be. So find a space that feels fun, that feels cozy, that feels expansive, that feels audacious and juicy for you to be in, and get yourself in the room. Settle in, buckle up. This is your year to take the reins on things and really make some super meaningful upgrades in your business. And this feels like a really great time to remind you that Top Tier Mastermind is open. We have not started yet, but we're going to start very, very soon in January. So if you are an established entrepreneur, service provider, business owner, you're a female, you're looking for an expansive space that's going to grow you, where you can really settle in. We're going to hang out for the whole year. There's going to be so much growth, an in-person event, all the things. Check out the link in the show notes below to learn more about Top Tier and apply now because we start super, super soon. And the last little thing that I want to leave you guys with in terms of making this your best year yet is to really walk by faith in this next year. Getting everything that you want in life and becoming that next version of yourself is going to require you to be brave and to take big risks and to be okay with failing. And that is all a lot easier when you have your faith to lean on. So Spirituality is obviously a big part of how I guide my life. When I talk about the way that I teach business in terms of business mentorship, it's always where strategy meets spirituality, because I love mixing and fusing the masculine and the feminine. I think when we can combine those two sides of ourselves, that is where the magic really happens. And we can create so much when we're anchored in that yin and that yang between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So also understanding, yes, we want to get shit done. We want to make these plans. We want to make the time. We want to, become this future version of ourselves. And also, don't forget that your connection to spirituality is the source of all creativity. So if you want to have better ideas, if you want to be more courageous, if you want to feel more guided, and if you want to have more colorful stories to tell, then don't forget to also prioritize your spiritual connection, whatever that looks like for you. Looking back on this past year, my favorite thing that I did in 2024 to nurture my spiritual connection was going on a sacred pilgrimage through ancient Egypt. Now, that is a huge fucking endeavor, and that is not what I'm saying that you need to do in order to walk by faith at all. But for me, that was such a huge eye-opening, spiritually awakening experience. It brought me so much value. It brought me so much joy. It brought me so many new connections, friendships, sisterhood, so many incredible stories to tell on the podcast. It helped me see different sides of, the world, of spirituality, of everything. It was such a beautiful experience to give myself. And it was something that was, really expensive. And it was a big risk to say, I'm going to spend all this money on this trip that has nothing to do with my business. It has nothing to do directly with my growth in terms of what's the ROI going to be, and getting into those technicalities of things. The ROI is that it made me feel nurtured. It made me feel supported. It lit something up inside of my soul. So also remembering that investing in the things that have nothing to do with a business ROI or aren't as tangible, but that are also deeply, deeply creative or spiritual or joyful, or just make you reconnect with another side of yourself or tap into your inner child, those things are valuable too. It's not all about success and money. And even if it is about success and money, that also helps you get there. Because you don't get there by being this rigid, stone cold, faithless being. Right? Spirituality is the source of all creativity. You're going to have way better ideas. The floodgates are going to open. Your channel is going to be more open. You're going to have more unique, inspired ideas. You're going to have better stories to tell. You're going to feel called to take yourself on certain experiences, or to have different types of conversations, or open yourself up to different people or podcasts or whatever it is. And that's going to flow beautifully into all the other areas of your life. So it does not matter what you believe. It simply matters that you believe in something bigger than yourself, and that you continue to tap into that, and you find ways to be connected to faith, spirituality, God, whatever it is that you believe in, because that's going to help you be braver and more courageous, take more risks, and actually create the life of your dreams. All right, that is all for this episode, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave 5 stars below. Leave us a rating. We want to get some new, fresh ratings in for this new year. If you'd love to leave a little sentence about a certain episode that you've loved, or something that you enjoy about the podcast, we so appreciate it. If you know someone in your life who you think would vibe on this episode and it would bring them some inspiration or some motivation, please copy the link, send it to a friend in a message. Let them know you were thinking of them. We can spread more love, more joy, more positivity in the world with your help. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're interested in joining us in Top Tier Mastermind, make sure that you click the link in the show notes below, and we will talk to you guys next week. I love you so much. Bye.